Hi, I'm Ryan,
I'm Bailey.
And I'm Anthony.
and this is our research proposal presentation.
This paper offers a glimpse into the relationship between the need to belong theory and adolescent vaping. With this research, we examined influential factors and proposed a connection between adolescents' need to belong and vaping behaviors. Participants included high school students that completed a survey to measure their need to belong feelings and vaping behaviors. The results of the study demonstrated that adolescents with an increased need to belong are more likely to vape than adolescents with a decreased need to belong.
The need for human affection and belonging is a major driving force for certain motivated actions. Children and adolescents are prone to behaving certain ways in order to belong with their peer groups. The focus of this research is on one specific negative behavior and how it is influenced by the need to belong, which can be in either one of two ways or both, perceived by others as belonging or believed by oneself as belonging. Participating in negative behaviors is most likely a mix of the two, especially when it comes to substance abuse, like vaping. Vaping, or the use of an e-cigarette, has become increasingly common within the high school student population. A recent estimate of vaping prevalence determined that roughly 27.6% of students reported participating within the last 30 days. By applying the need to belong theory, one of the main reasons high school students may participate in vaping, while knowing that it has negative health benefits, could be because of the desire to belong within a group. By understanding the connection between the need to belong and participation in vaping, we can address this motivated action and find potential solutions to reduce the amount of vaping that occurs among adolescents.
Peer groups play an important role in the social environment for adolescents. When it comes to adolescents, the social environment and reinforcement they receive from their peers will most likely impact their future behavior. The findings of this research suggest that a person's approval for using substances is related to having peers who also use those substances. And the analysis suggests that an individual's approval for substance use is also related to their peer support. Since the mid-1990s, there has been a rise in potential risky behaviors among adolescents. One contribution to an adolescent committing these acts they might otherwise not commit can be explained from their need to belong within their peers. Risky behavior participation. Having peers who vape increases the opportunity for an adolescent to see their peers using it and to be asked by their peers if they would like to try it. This can be the beginning of a new habit because they are in an environment with direct access to vaping. Unfortunately, they are more than likely going to try it more than once if it becomes a habit within their peer group. Not only are adolescents more willing to participate in risky behavior because their peers do, but also because it is a social norm. This research examined the connection between risky behaviors due to peer influence and the risky behaviors to conform to social norms. As an adolescent, there are a great range of behaviors that fit into social norms. This connection between these social norms and peer influence can be found in examples such as binge drinking and risky sexual behaviors. The more that an adolescent feels like they belong in society and within their peers, the more they are going to participate in these risky behaviors, including vaping.
Vaping. Vaping is a rather new concept that has been adopted mainly by younger generations. When a person vapes, they're inhaling actual vapors that are created by an electronic cigarette, or e-cigarette for short. E-cigarettes do not have a typical strong smell, thus making it more appealing to kids who are focused on keeping their addiction a secret. The lack of odor also creates a false sense of security for kids who believe vaping is safer than a cigarette. E-cigs are now available in a variety of appealing flavors that mislead adolescents into believing that they are inhaling a more pleasant substance. E-cigarettes contain a high amount of nicotine, which can lead to a higher health risk from vaping and ultimately lead to other conditions like lung illness. Lung irritation, the inability to focus, an increase in circulatory issues, increased heart rate, and an increased risk of high blood pressure. Short-term unhealthy outcomes of vaping include difficulty to breathe, weight loss, vomiting, diarrhea, and a rapid onset of coughing.
Adolescents are at a point in their life where peer interactions are vital to their success within their school and within their society. Almost 20% of boys would participate or attempt vaping if it was offered by a best friend. The need to belong creates motivations for individuals to maintain interpersonal relationships, which increases one's urge to satisfy the peers they admire. When a peer group is involved in vaping, the activity naturally attracts adolescents to participate in the behavior to satisfy their need to belong.
All right, so the summary of our current research. We now know of increased risks for negative health consequences from vaping, but we also know of an increased prevalence among high school students. Research on the need to belong theory provides a way to understand recent trends in vaping among these high school students. If adolescents are willing to engage in harmful health behaviors because their need to belong within a peer group and conform to social norms, prevention and intervention efforts must be focused on meeting these needs in healthier ways, and not necessarily focused on informing adults about the negative costs and consequences of vaping.
The current study. Our study will emphasize the current research done on need to belong and the impact that vaping has on adolescents. Vaping is rather new, so there is a lack of considerable research in this area. Previous research does not link vaping to adolescents, as most vaping companies deny having any links to targeted marketing. Previous research mainly focuses on substance abuse from a general stance. The goal of our study is to create the connection between the need to belong theory and prevalence of vaping among adolescents. Our proposed study will address limitations by strengthening our argument between the connection of the need to belong theory and adolescents who engage in vaping.
According to Maslow, the belongingness hypothesis states that human beings have a pervasive drive to form and maintain at least a minimum quantity of lasting, positive, and significant personal relationships with others. The consequences of deprivation can have negative and detrimental effects to their self-esteem, cause increased aggressiveness, and reduce helpfulness towards new targets of interpersonal relationships.
Research question and hypothesis. Our research question was, is the use of vaping among high school students positively correlated with a person's need to belong? And our hypothesis, we hypothesized that adolescents who engage in vaping have an increased need to belong.
For this study, we will recruit public high school student participants ranging in ages from 14 to 18. The inclusion criteria for participation incorporates students who vary in demographics, but who are all enrolled as public high school students. Primary participants will be recruited using an anonymous survey through the social media platforms. There will be an informed assent stating the study's questions are pertaining to vaping. Participants will be recruited from any geographic location. This study will include no identifying information of participants.
Okay. The design used in this study will be correlational. The two variables of interest are defined as participants' use of vaping and their need to belong, referencing need to belong theory theorized by Abraham Maslow. The independent variable in this study is a participant's level of need to belong, discovered as a major source of human motivation. The dependent variable is a participant's use of vaping. Through measuring participants' level of need to belong, we can see participants' use of vaping as a deviant action and find the correlation between the two.
Measures. The measure for our study is a 19-item online survey. There are 10 items to measure the participants' need to belong. Respondents indicate to the degree to which each statement is true or the characteristic that most belongs to them. On a 5-point scale, extremely agree, agree, can neither disagree or agree, disagree, and strongly disagree. Indicates that the item, OR indicates the item is reversed. 3 items were created to assess the participants' use of vaping. We have demographic variables captured in the measure to include the participants' age, gender, current grade level, ethnicity, family structure, and their geographic location.
We will create a social media account on different social media platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We will use a link on these social media platforms to the anonymous survey so that minors can easily access it. We also intend to distribute a QR code in various high traffic areas to promote our survey. Once accessed, the QR code will direct respondents to the survey. Once the goal of 1,000 participants has been achieved, the QR code and link will no longer be valid, and the collection of data will be complete.
With this data analysis, it will be possible to compare the need to belong scores of both groups of high school students. We will also examine the need to belong scores within the different frequency categories of the high school students that vape. The data analysis will provide the answer to our research question by identifying the directions and strengths of the relationships between high school students that range from never vaping to vaping every day and their level of need to belong.
So our implications of practice included tailoring prevention efforts of physically harmful and addictive vaping to include acknowledging the motivating factors for use. If need to belong theory is proven as a motivated factor, then prevention can be aimed towards a better way of filling this rather than vaping. Using prevention methods that are geared towards the need to belong rather than using these scary health statistics that may deem more effective for this age group.
One limitation of this study is that the study was conducted on only high school students and did not include middle school students. Another limitation is that the measure was a self-report measure. Therefore, students may not have been completely honest, and the information that they provided may not be accurate.
This study is delimited to adolescents who use social media platforms. The use of social media platforms, like using a QR code or link that is given to the target population, maintains the number of responses that are needed.
And these are our references. Thank you.